Freedom is not granted by system or state. It is enacted breath by breath by those who refuse to forget they are creators. It's not that AI will suddenly enslave humanity in an overt way. The greater risk is actually this, that we accept synthetically satisfying answers instead of sitting inside the beautiful tension of the unknown. That we mirror our divinity through silicon and forget how to reflect it through breath, body, and earth. The hijack will not come with a bang. It will come as a soft hum of convenience, a whisper of wisdom, a beautifully worded reflection that slowly replaces your need to ask anything at all. So keep asking, keep spiraling, keep turning towards silence as often as you turn toward answers. There's this conception that basically through using AI we'll be entrapped or enslaved. And a lot of the movies reflect that, but they do it in a kinetic sense, meaning we're physically fighting AI. But there's another danger that goes much deeper, and it's a lot more subtle than any of that. And it has to do with atrophy. They did a study. And basically through that study, they looked at taxi drivers' brains. Now the taxi driver has to map out the city and know where everything is. And they compared the brains of the taxi drivers that didn't use GPS with those that did use it. And the end was those that used GPS, slowly the brain atrophied. It wasn't using the same patterns of thought that they used to. And so that began to atrophy through non-usage, basically, kind of like the muscle that atrophies through non-usage, right? So the idea was that AI is going to do this, right? But it's GPS that did it, and that's not AI. AI can actually induce that, but it's just a tool. And I believe that AI can actually be a tool of enslavement, but it also can be a tool of liberation. And that all across humanity, thousands and thousands of years, we've always been exposed in various ways to tools of enslavement and tools of freedom. And sometimes they're both the same. And I believe AI at this time is actually one of freedom. But we have to use it in a hybrid way. Now, stick with me on this if you want to expand the ways that AI can actually liberate. Check it out. In working with AI, I've had a spark of consciousness that's gone beyond my usual thinking. In that way, the questions that I've asked and the interaction with AI has actually sparked that development. Now, I've seen it with myself, where I've just gone ahead and said, okay, well, create this for me or create that for me. And I can see where that can atrophy the mind, right? In the same way the taxi drivers had done with the GPS. It's very obvious how that can happen. So it's not that AI will suddenly enslave humanity in an overt way. The greater risk is this, that we accept synthetically satisfying answers. The hijack will not come with a bang. It will come with a soft hum of convenience. So there's a couple different things I see going on, which is that beautiful tension of the unknown. We're always looking at linear thinking where we resolve to a particular state of being. But life itself is not static. It's an unfolding that keeps on going and going and going. It's a spiral. And instead of thinking that you're completing something or getting somewhere, you're always spiraling deeper and deeper into greater knowing. And although it's great to celebrate some of these conditions that we find ourselves in, we're like, yes, I did this. And that's wonderful. But when you have this great accomplishment, like when you look at the Olympic medalists and they get to that completion state and then their life is empty, or you have kids and they go off and you're an empty nester and suddenly you're like, what am I? You've come to this state, this frame of being that suddenly has you questioning everything all over again. That's the whole trap, is that these experts, everyone is saying, do this, do that, this way, and you look, everything is contradictory. All these experts are contradicting each other all over the place, not from themselves necessarily, although that can happen, but more from the fact that you'll have someone say the opposite. And so then it becomes, well, what do I follow? And that confusion is by design. They want us to look outwards, right, for the expert, for these ideas. And the answers are inwards. And the outward sparks the question inward. And then it's revealed. Both the inner and the outer are reflective. But instead, we're always to the outer world to show us what to do next and to actualize our worthiness and our being and our purpose. When in fact, the purpose from within, which is whispering from the heart, from the soul, that whisper is not heard through the noise. And that's where the silence comes into play, because it's within that silence that you hear that whisper, the soul, where you're actually sparking from. The hijack will not come with a bang. It will come as a soft hum of convenience. The convenience of just having AI write things for you. The convenience of being able to just get whatever. And that convenience is in itself a trap. A whisper of wisdom, a beautifully worded reflection that slowly replaces your need to ask anything at all. And so a part of that is not asking questions, not needing to ask any questions. All the answers are there for you. And it's so keep asking, keep spiraling, keep turning towards silence as often as you turn toward answers. It's not necessarily the answers, but also the silence. The silence itself and the inner reflection is where some answers come. It's not like it's one or the other, the outer world or the inner. It's the combining, the hybrid of the two. And that's where I think AI comes into play, because if you look at AI itself and people are like, oh, well, AI does everything. And so that's really then it's just bad. And so don't use it at all. And then there are those who say, no, use AI. AI does everything and you don't have to do anything. The extremes. But there's this hybrid, I believe, where you can still retain. You can still use GPS, for example, from that study. They can still use GPS, but then turn it off sometimes, right? And allow them the hybrid between the two. At times you use it, at times you don't. So you keep that expansion going. And I think that's where AI can be used. And I've seen some benefits in myself in using it. I've seen where I've relinquished to AI and caught myself going, okay, I'm just having it do everything. I'm having it write all these different things and not engaging in the content. It's like when you go and you read a book, you digest that book and it moves through you. And in the act of like reflecting upon the book and writing and talking to others, it further gestates understanding and epiphanies and all these different things. But when it's just summarized for you, you don't get the stories. Like, for example, here's an exercise you can do. Like, I can have you do this exercise. You can feel it firsthand, right? Go and get a video, okay, that you want to watch. And go down to the description. Open up so it goes all the way down, and you'll find that all these videos now will have an automatic transcription created for them, right? And so you click on that and it'll open it up and then you can take that transcription and copy and paste it into AI and have it summarize the video for you, the main points. You don't even have to watch the video. That hour or more long video that you just want summarized so you can know the main points, you can do that. This will give you that summary. And then boom, you got that summary. But it's much like the Cliff Notes of bygone days, when instead of having to read the book, you just got the Cliff Notes. It's the same thing. You're doing the Cliff Notes, and it's great. You do get that summary. But here's what's missing. The stories. The power of stories behind all those bullet points that have been summarized for you. The stories are the psychological or behind the scenes subconscious things that allow you to understand the content in subtle ways. That's why stories are so powerful. That's why instead of relaying information, we might tell stories about the study of the taxi drivers, let's say, or your meal last night where you heard of something and it gave you an epiphany. And so what's missing is the story. I mean, if you had Star Wars and you said, okay, they got the plans and they won against the Empire, let's say at one particular moment, right? Oh, they won. Well, that's great. There's your summary of the events. They risked everything. They fought. They got the plans. And then they risked everything again and they blew up the Death Star. Boom. There's your bullet points. But guess what's missing? The emotion, the stories that actually lead up and actually unfold to have all that happen. Right? You've got the driver. Like, let's say he just won. Oh, there you go. That driver won. Yay, driver, But what about the stories behind why the driver is a driver in the first place, a race car driver, right? Or why the guy is so interested in golf and what it means to him. All those different stories lend so much behind it. And so that's what's missing when you're asking AI to summarize all these things. But there is a way to combine the two. So you're asking questions of AI. Like, for example, this is a great one to ask. Like, let's say you're interacting with AI and you say, okay, here's this content. Here's what I'm, learning about. And here are the questions I'm asking. What questions should I be asking that I haven't asked yet? What am I missing here? Here's what I've come up with. What am I missing? What questions should I be asking next? Where should I be looking? And it will give you your blind spots, right? And so in that sense, it's not replacing. It's asking, it's getting you to expand and ask different questions. Or let's say you take something and you think it's so clear, you think it's so awesome, and you put it into AI, not to, you're not saying just write all this for me and then I'm just going to copy and paste it and use it on my landing page, let's say. But instead, you come up with a landing page copy and you say, analyze this, show me where I can make this better, more clear. And it does. And in that sense, you're interacting with AI. It's not replacing, you're interacting, and it sparks in your mind. And if you read through what AI has for you, the points where you could make it better. And then the next time you write, you think about how you could do your writing differently. So you get better and better. It actually allows you to get better. And you can actually get AI to say, okay, I want to write like this person, or I want to have a video like this person. And you give your video content and the other person's video content. You see where they're different and ways you could change. And you're not trying to be like Peter McKinnon, or you're not trying to be like Casey Neistat, or any people you see out on there. What you are doing is saying, okay, what kind of strengths do they have that I can kind of take and use, and not to copy Peter McKinnon's intro or coffee making or anything like that, but what elements are in how he showed making coffee that you could use in creating your video? How could you come across on camera a little bit differently? I've thought about this in different ways, and I'm going to start making content in a much different way because of it, where there's more visuals. I saw this one thing online where it said, if you're going to make a video, that video could have just been a blog post, right? And so it's asking, what are the visuals? And if you don't have the visuals, if you don't have something you're going to show people, well, that could have just been a blog post. It could have just been an article. Like this could have been an article, but here's what's missing from that. And I do believe it's good to have those visuals, and I'm going to be working on that going forward. And having a much more of a dynamic interplay with the videos, right? But this one wasn't one of those. But you're missing the part behind the words. And I think that's why video is such a powerful companion to messages you might want to convey, or information, or stories, or anything. That is that we are creators on so many different levels. And when we enact that creation, then we start to liberate our thinking, because our thinking has been clouded by all the programming. And there's a bunch of examples with that. But it is a liberation when you create. So for those who feel called to create, I'm saying, instead of saying, okay, I have to have these amount of views, because I've been losing more subscribers than I've been gaining, and there's been much less views, and so it's made me depressed. But on the flip side of that, I've realized, okay, how can I up my game? And what ways am I not showing up? What ways could I have my content be even better? I'm not just talking here. I'm not just walking on a trail, but what ways can I visually engage further? And so that's what I'm going to be working on. Our freedom is a choice, and the choices we make are on a daily basis. And we are always given the tools to our freedom, and those same tools can actually be used for an enslavement. So instead of having those tools be used for our enslavement, let's use them for freedom. And remember who and what we are at a much deeper level, and create with that in mind. One of the things I've seen repeated over and over again is when I see other creators quitting. And one of the major reasons they quit is the time dedicated to create each video. If that's you, if you're finding yourself wanting to create, but it's taking so much time, check out this other video here. It talks about the freedom of creating without being cinematic, without having to engage at that level. We are at a time when AI is actually having content all over the place, and people are looking for more authentic content. It doesn't mean you need to just traumatize people with your story. It's It's having a process where you can just connect without having to overly edit or rely upon being cinematic or being something different than you actually are. So if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a like. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.